And now with his 26th book in print, we're joined by Rainer Zitelmann. This book, In Defense of Capitalism. Mr. Zitelmann, why does capitalism need a defense?
Because capitalism is under attack all around the world. In China, in Latin America, in Europe, and in the United States. And I have one chapter with a poll about the image of capitalism. And in most of the countries, capitalism has a very negative image. And there are a lot of myths about capitalism. And this is the reason why I wrote this book.
Capitalism hasn't always been under attack in Europe and the US, has it? Is this new?
It's not new, but it's much more than it was, for example, 30 years ago, because after the breakdown of socialism, a lot of people understood planned economy does not work. Free market economy works. This was in the 90s. We had free market reforms in a lot of countries. We had, even in the 80s, Ronald Reagan, Maggie Thatcher, and not to forget Deng Xiaoping in China. In a lot of countries, we had free market reforms. And today, if you look in China with Xi Jinping, they go back to less market, more state. The other direction then was with Deng Xiaoping. In Latin America, even in Chile, they voted for socialists. And everywhere, Colombia, Venezuela, of course, and Peru, everywhere in Latin America, you have this, anti-capitalist governments. In Europe, we go more and more, especially Germany, where I come from, in the direction of a planned economy. They don't call it a planned economy, but it is. And in the United States, I don't have to tell you what Joe Biden does here. It's some month ago, the Index of Economic Freedom was published by the Heritage Foundation. It's a ranking how economically free are countries all over the world, with Switzerland, Singapore at the top, and North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba at the bottom. And the United States had the worst ranking since they started in 1995. Now even 16 European countries, according to this index, are more economically free than the United States. And this doesn't mean that it's great in Europe, on the contrary. But so you see, this is the reason why it's so important to defend capitalism.
Do you think it's because some of the negative effects of capitalism have happened, such as income inequality, that we are becoming more regulated?
No, I don't think so. Because the last decades were the best in the world for capitalism. I will give you some numbers. You find them also in my book. 200 years ago, before capitalism, 90% of the worldwide population lived in extreme poverty. Today it's less than 9%. But now, what's more important, half of this reduction happened over the last decades. Even in 1981, 43% of the worldwide population lived in extreme poverty. 43%. In 2000, it was then 27%. Now it's less than 9%. So, of course, if you think about inequality, this is a different story. But I think we should make poverty to our priority. Inequality is a topic for envious people. I think we should more care about poverty. And if you speak about poverty, it's a great time all over the world, what happened there in the last decades. No, the problem is that the people who should defend capitalism, that they are very bad in this, what they should do. I think the anti-capitalists are much better in marketing and in public relation than we are. They won the battle because they are much better in marketing.
What about when it comes to climate change? Has capitalism contributed to climate change?
Yes, this is I know some people, they even don't believe in existence of climate change, others believe. Let's assume climate change is the reality. Let's assume it's man-made. But even then, a planned economy will not solve any problem. And I will tell you why. If you compare East and West Germany, it's good to compare the same country, the same people, the same language, the same history, only different economic systems. CO2 emissions in East Germany were 3 times higher adjusted to GDP than in capitalist West Germany, 3 times higher. And not only this problem, also other environmental problems, for example, airborne pollutants like sulfur dioxide were 10 times higher in East Germany. So planned economy had never solved any problem in history, and especially not with the environment. The worst environmental problems were in Soviet Union and in this country. So it's a crazy idea that a planned economy can solve any problems with the environment.
Quote from your book, "In Europe or the United States, the debate about the most effective methods to eradicate poverty, hunger, child labor, and other problems has come to be dominated by naive ideas." Naive ideas such as what?
Yes, such as the more you regulate, the better it is. And if this would be true, then the systems in Soviet Union and East Germany would have been the best economic system. And this is what they believe. I don't think that, I think that we need some regulation in the state. But what they believe now, I will make it easy. What's the difference between a planned economy and a free market economy? In a free market economy, companies, entrepreneurs decide what to produce. In the end, it's consumers' decision. Agree? Yes. And then in a planned economy, politicians and government officials decide what is produced. And this is what happens in Europe. This is what happens in the United States now, for example, if they forbid combustion engines, for an example. Instead of consumers, politicians or government officials who think they are smarter than millions of consumers, they want to make the decision. And I call this a planned economy, even if they give a different name for this, but it is a planned economy.
Besides writing books, Rainer Zitelmann, what else do you do in Berlin?
Oh, I'm not so often in Berlin, to be honest, in this year and last year, because last year I've been in 17 countries, this year in 13, but I will travel to much more because I promise I will go to every country where the book is published and learn something about the country. My last trip was in South Korea and in Mongolia. And so what I do instead, when I don't write books, I do my workout here. This is what I'm doing.
Now, you're former senior editor at Die Welt?
Yes.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes. Yes.
Which is what?
This is one of the leading newspapers in Germany. As I started as historian at the Free University of Berlin. I wrote my first doctoral dissertation. It was about, the book is published now in English, Hitler's National Socialism, about Hitler's economic ideas. This was my first doctoral dissertation. And then after these years at the Free University, I was at this newspaper, and then I was an entrepreneur for 15 years. I founded my own company, was a public relation company, and we became #1 market leader in Germany for the real estate industry. But I sold it, my company, 7 years ago, and now I write every year one new book. And so hopefully here at the next Freedom Fest we can talk about my next book.
Go back to your doctoral dissertation. What was your conclusion?
My conclusion was that Hitler was much more anti-capitalist than most people think. He didn't believe in a free market economy. He was not a socialist in the old-fashioned way to nationalize everything. He didn't believe in nationalizing to nationalize everything, but his philosophy was like this way. He said it in a speech. We tell the companies what to do, what to produce. And if they do so, we are happy with this. If not, we will force them to do it. Or we'll do it by ourselves. We will nationalize that. So this was more or less his philosophy.
You talk about socialism in your newest book, In Defense of Capitalism, as a quasi-political religion.
Yes, exactly, because it's not based on facts. And this is a problem, you know. I wrote a book about facts, but have you ever tried to discuss with a believer, a strong believer, and give him some facts, you know? it's very hard, because anti-capitalism is something like a cult or like a religion in a way, and it's hard to convince people. I have only the facts, and this is a problem. Of course, we need the facts, but I tell you one thing. 3 months ago, I was with my girlfriend in Greece, where a book was published, and there was an accident 2 weeks before. 50 people were killed, and there were protesters. Of course, they blamed capitalism. Capitalism is responsible for everything, also for this. And then I watched from my hotel, I saw these protesters, and half of the times they sang beautiful songs. I couldn't understand them, but very, touched your heart. And then I said to my girlfriend, look at these people there, this is a problem. I have the facts, they have the emotions. Yes, this is the problem. And so this is why but maybe I add something. So I didn't write the book to convince anti-capitalists. I had an interview 2 weeks ago, and someone asked me, do you believe you can convince anti-capitalism? My answer was no, I don't believe. Why do you write a book when you don't believe you can convince them? Because I know they will not read it. They will not buy it. I know it for sure. They prefer to buy book number 35, Why Capitalism is Evil, than to read only one book like this. I see it sometimes on the internet. If I post something in a book, it's all wrong, it's all shit, it's all, yes, whatever. And then I ask them one question, have you read the book? No, I would never read a book like this. So they will not read the book. I wrote the book for people who are pro-capitalism, pro-free market, but they don't have all the arguments, all the facts. And in my book, the first review in Germany, someone wrote, Zitelmann, he's a fanatic of facts. And I saw it as a compliment, because in the book you have 900 footnotes. In the bibliography you will see 360 scientific books and papers. Not everyone is able or has time to read all the 360 books. You don't have to read it, only my book. And then I guarantee anyone can win any discussion with any anti-capitalist. If you don't have to read the whole book, if you have a discussion about climate change, read chapter 3. If you have a discussion about inequality, read chapter 2. You will have all the facts, and this is what I hope, and this is the reason why, I'm so happy that this book is published in 30 countries, because I will give it like a tool for all people who are pro-free market if they have discussions with anti-capitalists.
Who is Thomas Piketty, and have you ever debated him?
No, I would love to debate with him. He's a very famous French economist, left-leaning French economist. I read his books. I don't know whether he read my books, but I would love to debate with him, because for him, he says in his book, The Capital in the 21st Century, that he speaks about inequality. My priority is poverty. His priority is inequality. And what he writes in his book is that in the longest time of the 20th century, we saw a reduction of inequality because of the First World War, the Second World War. But then the bad time for him begins in 1990. Because then he said in 1990, the gap between the rich and the poor becomes wider and wider all over the world. But I mentioned before, exactly the same years, decades, were the best times for the reduction of poverty in the history of mankind. I will give you one example. China. 1981, 88% of people in China lived in extreme poverty. 88%. Today it's less than 1%. Why? Because Deng Xiaoping started with private property, free market reforms in China. And I found no one. I was in China several times who told me, oh, let's better go back to Mao's time because we were more equal. Or Vietnam, the same story. Vietnam was the poorest country in the world, 1990, the poorest country in the world. And today, of course, the inequality is higher. They have some billionaires today in Vietnam. And I was there several times. I found no one who told me, let's go back to the 90s because we were more equal. No. Inequality, this topic is something for envious people. We should care about poverty. But this is a priority of Thomas Piketty. I would love to discuss with him, of course. I had a discussion now with the most famous anti-capitalist in Germany. Her name is Ulrike Herrmann. And she wrote a book, what is a bestseller in Germany. The title is The End of Capitalism. And what she says in her book, what she says, we have to abolish capitalism. We have to introduce a planned economy in our country. We have to forbid driving cars, forbid to fly. No one should be allowed to eat more than 2,500 calories a day because of climate change. And but it's not an outsider. You can see her almost every evening in Germany talk shows. She's very popular. I had a discussion with her. And this is crazy because a planned economy never solved any problem in the history of mankind. There were 24 experiments with anti-capitalist systems in the last century. And they failed without any exception. And the problem is, after they fail, they tell you always, oh, sorry, this wasn't real socialism. Next time it will work, it will be better. Last time they told you this was about Venezuela. Venezuela was, in 1970, one of the 20 richest countries in the world. One of the 20 richest countries. Then they started with labor market regulation, more regulation, situation became worse. And then they made one big mistake. They voted for Hugo Chavez to make the situation better in 1998. And what happened? He started with nationalization, and so today in Venezuela, 10% of the population has fled, and the inflation was some years ago 1 million%. People are there in starvation. Democracy was abolished. No freedom of speech, no freedom of press. And in the end of the 90s, socialists all over the world, especially also in the United States and Europe, were enthusiastic about Venezuela. They called it the socialism in 21st century. Now they had a new model because North Korea was not so attractive for most of the people. And they spoke about Venezuela. And now if you ask the same people, what's about the socialism in the 21st century? Oh no, this wasn't real socialism, but next time it will work for sure.
Rainer, do you write in the original German or do you write the English versions as well?
No, I can't write. You see, my English is not so good that I could write in English. I'm writing in German language, but I have a translator who works for me. He's native speaker from the UK, but I check word by word, sentence by sentence to discuss it with him. And because the English edition is much more important than the German one, and I can tell you why, all the other translations in all other language, they do it from the English version. And if the English version is wrong, it will be wrong in Spain and in Korea and all around the world. So I check word by word. My English is good enough to check exactly whether it's correct or not. But to write, no, I had one experience. When I was 30 years old, I published a book about the National Socialist elite. This was after I wrote my book about Hitler. And all the people who wrote for this book were historians, especially from the United States, from the UK, from other, and they spoke better German than I speak English if you spoke with him. So you thought, it's perfect. They could write it in German because all of the day they deal with, German language, German history. And then I asked everyone to write this 20 pages. I had to change every sentence because they had not the feeling for the language. Yes, I think it's very difficult. Maybe if you lived for a time, if you lived for 5 or 10 years in another country. But for me, the longest time I've spent in the English-speaking country was 2 months. And my talent is not foreign languages. I was better at the school at mathematics and so, but not in foreign language. So I'm happy that I can have the interview now with you, and people understand me in spite of my German accent. And I can guarantee who can understand me in spite of my German accent, it's much more likely that you will understand this book, because this is without any German accent.
Why is the English version most important?
Yes, because they translate for all the other languages from the English version. For example, if you translate the book in Korea or for example, in Spain, they use the English version. And the English
Why
version,
not the German version?
Because it's much more expensive. For example, they pay there are more English translators. They pay 3 times more for translation from German to Korea, for example, than and so they take the English version. This is important.
With his 26th book, 27 shortly, In Defense of Capitalism, Reiner Zitelmann. Thank you for your time on Book TV.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Weekends on C-SPAN 2 are an intellectual feast. Every Saturday,